Hello and welcome to the programme. I'm Nima Abu Warde. Now it's a week of new beginnings for this region. As Tunisians voted, Libyans have been celebrating their liberation after Gaddafi's death. So while countries look to the future, we look at the role the international community should be playing in rebuilding the Arab world. Also coming up this week, poles apart. Tunisia sees democracy, but economic problems loom large. Food fight. How Israel's politicians, protesters and dairy farmers are squaring off over cheese. And battling bureaucracy. What do business leaders want from a new Arab world? But first, Tunisia has elected a constitutional assembly in the first free elections in this region since the Arab uprisings. Now, this is seen as a first step towards the country's democratization, but Tunisia's economic challenges remain as tough as ever. Simon Atkinson reports.
For many of these Tunisians, it was the first time to vote in a free election. It's 9 months since mass demonstrations ended President Ben Ali's reign in power. And Tunisians going to the polls has been seen as an important step in Middle East life after the uprisings. As expected, the moderate Islamist party Ennahda won the most votes. The elected assembly will draft a constitution and appoint an interim president who will choose the new government. But for whoever's selected, the state of the country's economy is going to be top priority.
We have to always remember that this revolution started with economic issues, and that's why people went out. So now my hope is with building a democratic state and the first Arab Muslim democratic state, I hope that we have to work on our economy, and I hope that investors and entrepreneurs will come and will help Tunisia.
With key industries such as tourism hurt by the violence earlier this year, economic growth is set to fall. And unemployment, one of the main grievances of the protesters, remains a big concern, with about a third of young people out of work. And graduate unemployment's risen from about 14% 10 years ago to around 25% now, despite lots of graduates leaving the country as job creation failed to keep up with the push for higher education.
We have already a lot of young people going out, but as I'm the example myself, I left Tunisia years and years ago, and after the revolution I decided to go back. We had a very important brain drain, but now efforts are being deployed to have some brain gain now back to the country, because we need those talents. We need them to come and build the country.
With Tunisia's elections appearing to have gone smoothly, attention will focus next year on Egypt, the second Arab country to overthrow its leader. And some say that's the election which will make or break market confidence on whether political stability and economic progress can stem from the uprisings.
Tunisia's elections are a very important signal for the whole world that the Arab Spring is actually taking very clear steps towards building on the momentum that took place. But Tunisia is a small country with highly educated populations. Egypt is a country with vast poverty, with vast illiteracy. And if the democratic process goes on smoothly in Egypt, that's it. That's a beautiful signal that the markets will get.
Tunisians feel proud that they began the Arab uprisings and were the first to have elections. Now they're waiting to see what their new beginning means for the country and the region.
Simon Atkinson reporting there. Now, while Tunisians look to a new political era, Libyans are celebrating their country's liberation after Gaddafi's death. So while these countries look to rebuild their economies, what role should the international community be playing? That's a question I put to Masoud Ahmed, the IMF's director for the Middle East and Central Asia.
The international community has a role to play in supporting countries as they rebuild themselves. And if you take, for example, Tunisia, what you see there is that there's a challenge still ahead